next presenter is Ryan Johnson, who is a part of the San Diego Department of Environmental Health and Quality. He's worked for the Food and Housing Division for over 12 years, and prior to that worked for the San Bernardino County and their food program. He started his environmental health career as a temporary summer pool tech, finally working his way up to his current position as a division chief. And in addition to his Bachelor of Science degree, he also has a master's degree in business administration and is a registered environmental health specialist with the state of California. And he is the San Diego County subject matter expert on home-based food businesses, which includes cottage food operations, microenterprise home kitchen operations, focusing on program development and legislative analysis for these two programs. And more recently, he spearheaded the efforts to develop the temporary MEHKO program in San Diego County. So when you hear a lot of our prior panelists say that it's been an easy process to actually get the permit, that's just a power to the department in San Diego, how much they're willing to help people and become legalized, get their permit, and makes this access easy. And so we're lucky to have him presenting on the MEHKO programs, and then also SB972, which I know a lot of you have a lot of questions on. So I'm going to turn it over to Ryan, and you can go ahead and share your screen.
All right, thank you very much. Hello, everybody. I am not going to wear my enforcement hat today. So I kind of heard some comments about people that are kind of running their own businesses. My only piece is make sure you get the right permits for it. Because while there are a lot of social media postings out there, we do get a lot of complaints in our office, and there are people that are doing their own investigative work, and they provide that information to us. So my goal is to get everybody permitted properly so they can have a legitimate business from our standpoint, and to make sure that they are running those safely. So that's my plug. Got to do that at first. But so today I am going to be talking about MEHKOs. Give me 1 second to share my screen, and we'll get going here. All right. There we go. Roy, you see it now?
That's perfect. Thanks.
Perfect. All right. So as Roy said, my name is Ryan Johnson. I am one of the division chiefs here for the Department of Environmental Health and Quality. I'm going to talk a little bit about our MEHKO program. I'm not going into a lot of details of what I normally do when I discuss the MEHKO program, because I'm sure many of you are familiar with it at this point. And then I'm going to talk a little bit about the new legislation, SB972, that's really focusing on adding options for sidewalk vendors and tying those into MEHKO operations. But so far in our county, since we started our MEHKO program, we now have 45 permitted MEHKO businesses countywide. So I really love this quote. It really fits more for my side of the industry. Never make predictions, especially about the future. When I first started with environmental health, 15 plus years ago, there wasn't an option for anybody to work out of their home. And never would I have imagined that people could eventually run a full restaurant out of their home. But landscapes change. The pandemic definitely pushed a lot of different options out there to try to find workable solutions for people that needed income. And so where we started with a cottage food program, very small, basic food items, stuff that's shelf stable. We've now got MEHKOs. And then now our next step that we're looking forward to is the option for mobile food carts that are going to be able to be stored in private homes now too. So with the way the industry changes, environmental health, us and all the agencies throughout the state, we need to change and adapt with them, which is what we continuously do year after year. But our focus is always going to make sure that all of these operations are being run in a way to protect public health. So just a little bit about our MEHKO program. There's interestingly two halves of regulatory agencies for this program. Department of Environmental Health and Quality, DEHQ, we regulate everything in the retail food code. So as you can see kind of on the slide, these are the big items that we're looking for when we come out and do our inspections. Now, the city or local jurisdictions or the county jurisdictions, they're really looking at local land use ordinance enforcement, which some of it is written into the retail food code and some of it is written into their own local ordinances for noise and signage restrictions. So depending on what kind of questions somebody has, there's going to be a different agency that you might need to reach out to. Now, for those of you, if anybody is looking to start a MEHKO operation, we did a ton of work when we started developing our temporary program to make sure we made resources available to help guide everybody through the process. And I appreciate the words that Roy has said, that the feedback of it being a little bit of an easier process to work through. And I attribute it to a lot of the back end work that we did here. So if you haven't made it to our website, if you're interested in becoming a MEHKO, this is all of the information we've got up there. It really walks you through what the law requirements are, how to apply and obtain a health permit from DEHQ, and then provides guidance on how to minimize the impacts to your neighbors that might result of operating a food business out of these residential locations. Some of these are translated in multiple languages. Some are just in English. We really tried to focus on where we were getting the bigger demand to put the work in to translate these. It's still a work in progress. There's a lot of efforts in the county now to really offer a lot of our information in multiple languages. So it's a slow process. It's a costly process. So we're trying to kind of spread that out to be less impactful to our department, but still focusing on the items that people need the most. So as you work through this process, one of the bigger things that we do is the home inspection. You know, this is our field inspectors are going to come into the home and look at every aspect of the business and how it's set up. We're going to be looking at the standard operating procedures that were submitted, looking at the menu options, really just focusing on the permitted area of the home where your businesses ran. We really use this time as in the first inspection to just kind of understand how the business is going to be operated safely and what kind of knowledge is there for the food safety practices that they need, and then provide guidance really on moving forward when the business gets up and running, because we want to make sure, you know, a home and the ways people cook at home is different than the way you have to cook per our state law. And so it's a different shift that we've seen a lot with these smaller operations. So our goal in the beginning is to really provide as much education as we can to reduce any of the risks that are associated with a business that's not operating as safe as possible. And so right now we're in the middle of a 2-year temporary program. It started in February of this year, and it's going to be going on until February of 2024. And at that point, DEHQ is going to return to the Board of Supervisors and provide an update on the program. And that's going to include a lot of information that we're gathering over this 2 years. We're tracking data to help us tell the story of any food safety concerns or community impacts that have resulted from permitted MEHKOs throughout the county. So what that means is I'm working with all of the local municipalities, and we're gathering any complaints that they have received regarding community impact. So are they getting calls about an increase of traffic flow through a certain neighborhood? Are they getting noise complaints, complaints about, you know, signage going up on front yards, and those sort of things? Are there any issues with, you know, wastewater impacts that might be able to be seen, whether it's in an apartment complex that's having, you know, clogged lines or, you know, main sewer issues? And then we're also looking internally. So with our department, we take in complaints about businesses all the time, whether they're permitted or unpermitted. And we also take in foodborne illness complaints where somebody indicates that they might have gotten sick and lists out the food that they've eaten that they think contributed to that. So really, we have 2 years and our goal is data collection. What's really happening out there with the MEHKOs we permit? As you said, you know, we've got just a little over 40 of these. So it's not a very large program at this time. We don't have a lot of data that we've received, no complaints from the cities regarding MEHKOs. We did get a complaint already about one of our permitted MEHKOs that had extended beyond what the state law allows for their operation, which, you know, we circle back around, redirect them, make sure we get them back on track. So that way they're in compliance with state law requirements. So at the end of this program, we're going to analyze this data, take it back to the board. And then at that point in 2024, they'll make a determination whether they are going to continue with a full-time program or not at that point. So we still have a whole nother year to gather that. And I'm sure Roya, I've worked closely with her and the local SD MEHKO coalition, and we're providing updates regularly to kind of give a gauge on how the program is working. So I'm going to pause there because I'm going to start shifting over into the SB972 information. Wanted to just see if anybody had any questions just on our general MEHKO program that I could answer now before I move on. And I can't see if any hands are raised, so if somebody would have to help me out with that.
There's no hands raised, but we have a few questions in the chat. So one of them is, do you have to be on the lease or just living in the apartment?
Great question. So it has to be your primary residence as a MEHKO operator. The other concern is if you're looking at an apartment operation, you need to check with the apartment manager or the apartment complex first, because if they have any restrictions in their rental agreement that would prevent you from operating any kind of business out of the home as a renter, that is going to be the more restrictive issue to deal with. But when it comes to us and our permitting and approval process, we're really just making sure that this is your primary residence that you live in.
Thanks, Ryan. And then another question is, I see you're collecting data for negative impact. Are you collecting data for positive impact?
I guess I'm going to pose something back to whoever asked that question. What would you consider to be positive impact? If you want to unmute, I'm happy to chat.
Economic development was the answer.
We do not. So we are by default we're an enforcement agency. We are responsible for making sure everybody follows the retail food code. So in terms of economic impact, what we're looking at is the volume of operations. There's a cap to how much can be made, right? So the assumption is that people will be maxing out their sales volumes. But we look at it as in terms of the economic impact of the volume and number of permits we've issued. So right now we've only have 44, 45. So a very small program. So economic impact wise is if we saw a peak, I think that would speak to itself and for itself on how this program is helping these communities. Now we are tracking the areas, what cities most of these are in, so we can see where more people are deciding to start a MEHKO operation. But to me, that's where I would see as the board being able to get that information for the positive impact of this is how many businesses were started as a result of this.
So another question here is outdoor kitchen setup allowed for MEHKO?
Great question. This is actually what we got the complaint on. It is not. So a MEHKO is just like a restaurant, but out of your home. So just like restaurants have to work in their permitted enclosed kitchens, a MEHKO has to do the same thing. There are some allowances for outdoor barbecue or wood burning oven usage only, because that's also the same for our other, what we call our brick and mortar restaurants. But yeah, all food has to be prepared and handled inside because we need to protect it from contamination. Outdoors, you've got birds, bugs, wind, dust, dirt, leaves. You don't want that getting in your food. And so there's no real way to protect that except for being inside your kitchen. Now you can go serve people outside. So if you wanted to have like outdoor dining where people came to your house and just sat outside to be served, absolutely. You prep your food and you go and you take the plate out just like you would at a restaurant where they had a patio seating available.
There's a question, can the MEHKO prepare meals for donation above the 60 per week?
No, they cannot. So it's regardless of how your food is served, whether you're giving it away or whether you're selling it, we don't really regulate how the business model is established for it, but it does the restrictions in state law for MEHKO is they cannot provide more than those meals per day. So you wouldn't hit the cap because you're not selling them, but you would hit the meal limit per the day and per the week.
And then there's one more clarifying question. Do you allow pizza or bread oven outside in the patio?
You're going to also have to work with your local building department if you're going to be building that out, because they handle construction and residential construction. So if you had, so we call it a wood fired oven, but if you had a baking oven that was permitted by your local building department, then that could be an option as well.
Great. I think that's it for the questions in the chat. Thank you
All right.
for clarifying all of that.
Yeah, no problem. All right, so let's shift now into new legislation, and this is going to be a little different because this is not a MEHKO legislation. This legislation was not designed and put out for adjusting the existing MEHKO law. What this is this is updating language in the California Retail Food Code, but it's designed to remove the barriers for sidewalk food vendors, and it's giving them more flexibility for their cart operation and storage locations. It also, and I'll get into the storage locations and how that ties into MEHKOs a little bit here shortly. It creates a new type of mobile food facility where there was really never a definition. So now they've defined this compact mobile food operation. So these are smaller carts. I use that word a lot, and I will probably for the rest of this presentation. They either sell prepackaged food or do what we call limited food prep, but these aren't food trucks. These aren't those big, gourmet trucks that you see out there. That's pretty much a restaurant on wheels. These are for mobile sidewalk vendors that have the ability to move out around throughout the county to go sell their product. So these compact mobile food operations, it expands what our typical cart used to be considered into tables, stands, racks, individuals, really any non-motorized conveyance can be considered a compact mobile food operation. Now, they did put an exemption in here that applies to everybody statewide, that any mobile cart that sells less than 25 square feet of prepackaged non-potentially hazardous foods, this is like water, chips, snacks, candy, that sort of thing, or whole, uncut, uncooked produce are exempt from any permitting requirements from local enforcement agencies. And here that's going to be the Department of Environmental Health and Quality. These can also be stored in a private home between use. So the best example I've really given that a lot of people see is somebody that is selling water around events. They have a little cooler on wheels, less than 25 square feet of a footprint that it takes up. So 25 square feet is about a 6x4 table or a 5x5 square. Is the max space that you're allowed to have as a roving sidewalk vendor. So less than that space, stuff that doesn't need refrigeration, no longer needs a permit from us. However, any local ordinances that are in place for sidewalk vending need to be met. So if there's a sidewalk vending permit requirement, that would have to be obtained before those people are able to sell out in the public. So this law, SB972, this goes into effect January of 2023. So our goal now is to try to get information out there about what's coming in January, educate our cities so they know what to look for and what is enforceable and what is not, and then educate people like yourselves that are potential stakeholders that may want to look into becoming a permitted business with our department. So the other part that it really focuses on is changing the mobile cart storage locations. So this bill decreases plan check requirements for approved commissaries, and approved commissaries is the term we use for permitted food facilities. This is not a MEHKO. This is for our bigger locations that are designed to kind of support a mobile operation or a restaurant or a market that has the facilities to help support an operation. So it really reduces some of those barriers of getting using those spots for cart storage. It also allows for new types of cart storage locations. So this includes what we're kind of considering a commercial non-food facility, which really kind of opens the door on what that could be. And then the second part of this is a private home. So this could be a private home that's part of a MEHKO or a cottage food operation, or just a private home that would like to utilize their home for the storage of mobile carts. Now, there is a section of state law that says if local ordinance prohibits the storage of a cart at a home or anything else, and this is up to each jurisdiction to really identify, but if they have a prohibition on this, our county will not be able to approve a cart to be stored at a home under this legislation. The ordinance would supersede that. So we're working on collecting all of this information with our local jurisdictions to see who may have a restriction on home cart storage, so that way we can provide that information to the public. So these new storage facilities need to be evaluated by DEHQ, and the purpose of that is to verify that the storage of these carts in those locations is not going to pose a public health hazard, and that the mobile food operation is going to be stored in a manner that protects it from contamination. So that's our focus. Is we will do site evaluations of each site, evaluate where a mobile operator would like to store their cart, and determine if it meets that general overview. So now, how does this tie in with MEHKOs? So they did put in 3 provisions for sidewalk food vendors to kind of merge and mesh with the existing MEHKO program. So for sidewalk vendors that wanted to start a home-based food business, it's kind of going backwards. Like I said, this wasn't built for MEHKOs to expand their operation. It was more made for sidewalk vendors to kind of bring their operation into their home. And to do so, they would have to become a MEHKO. So I'm going to speak to it from the MEHKO perspective as opposed to the sidewalk vendors coming back in. But this bill provides options for MEHKOs to operate mobile food carts as an extension of their home-based business, and allows for these operations to store and clean their mobile carts at their private home. But like I said for the previous slide, our department is still going to need to do an evaluation of that home to make sure they have the facilities to do this safely. And the new law also does provide an option for the governing body, and here in San Diego County, that's our Board of Supervisors. They have the discretion to authorize an increase in the daily and weekly meal sales limits, as well as an increase in the annual gross sales limit, if they make a decision to put that into the existing ordinance for that. So the 3 kind of dot points I have here on the slide are really the 3 main things that are allowed at the discretion of the Board of Supervisors. So they can authorize a MEHKO to serve as a commissary for up to 2 compact mobile food facility operations. They can exempt a sale of non-potentially hazardous food or produce for up to 2 mobile food operations if they're operated by the MEHKO. And those sales of those items won't count towards the meal and gross annual sales limits currently established. So if you're a MEHKO and you also have a mobile food permit and you're selling the non-potentially hazardous packaged items or produce bigger than 25 square feet, right? Because anything less than that doesn't require the permit. If you're going to go larger than that, the board can make a determination to have that not count towards the sales annual maxes for a MEHKO. And in addition to that, the board can make a determination to set the meal and income limitations currently established at a higher level, as long as the MEHKO is operating a mobile cart in conjunction with that. So this is where, if you're just a MEHKO operation only, that's why I said this is more of a sidewalk vending law, they will not be able to increase the limits for MEHKOs as a MEHKO by itself. They can only increase those limits for a MEHKO that is operating a mobile cart as an extension of their MEHKO business. Basically saying whatever you sell on that cart isn't going to count towards your MEHKO limitations either. So it is a little bit, it's not always as clear when we talk about this. It wouldn't naturally just increase MEHKO sale limits across the board. And really, that's it. Those are kind of what a lot of 972 changes more of what we do internally for our process and our review. But as it applies to home-based businesses, that's pretty much the main part of it.
Thank you so much, Ryan. We have a few questions, and if anyone has questions, feel free to raise your hand. I can unmute you, but we'll start with Mal.
Hey Ryan, Mal here. Thanks for taking the time to speak with us today. I'm in the car. I just had to get my kid from school. I was a little confused on the cart. I was waiting. I've been trying to figure out this whole cart thing. I was a little confused with the last bullet, like on the slide before the last one, where it said that the cart can sell food prepared at the MEHKO. That's not referring to the prepared meals we're making in the MEHKO. That's referring to the produce and other non-hazardous stuff.
It's both. And give me a second. For some reason, you know what? I'm going to apologize right now because I think I'm going to accidentally drop myself out, but bring myself back in so I can see everybody. As I'm talking to you. So give me a sec. Oh wait, there we go. I got it. Okay. Got it. Let me stop. Need the answer. I know. I'm not going to leave you. Don't worry. No, screen share. Roy, how do I stop sharing my screen?
I already did that for you.
You killed me. All right. Thank you. That's why I popped back up. All right.
Yeah.
So Malcolm, it really is designed for you to sell your MEHKO products out in the mobile cart. Now, the produce portion of it would be something else. So there's two paths that can be taken with these mobile carts. One, you could sell non-PHF and produce. And if the board makes a determination, that won't count towards your MEHKO limits because you're still kind of operating as an extension of the MEHKO at that point. So it's kind of a weird hybridization. Now, if you want to sell your MEHKO products, that's the idea for the cart merging is that you've got your MEHKO, you're stuck at your house for those. People have to come and pick it up or you got to deliver it to them. But now if the board makes that determination, a MEHKO could then pack up their food, pack up their meals, actually pack up, bulk stuff to portion out still within our cart allowances because carts is a whole separate program that you've got to meet requirements for. But you could then take your MEHKO and go out into the county. So then you then shift into a mobile operation. So you're limited for your mobile operations. That cities have restrictions on where you can sell and set up and how long you can be there. So you are going to be you're going to be restricted on the city ordinances on where you serve. But that way you then don't have your customers coming to your house. You have the potential ability to take your business out to some of these areas where you want to sell your food off of the cart.
Okay. Thank you for clarifying that. And I hate to be follow-up question guy, but I got a follow-up question to that. You said if the cities determine it, so in January 2023, when that goes effect, that portion of the ordinance isn't agreed upon yet?
Correct. And so there's two parts to this. The County Board of Supervisors, that's our governing body for DEHQ. They're able to make the determination for those three factors that were on my last slide. They would have to add that into the MEHKO ordinance that they approved this February to allow MEHKOs in the county. Because MEHKOs is the oddball in the state law. It doesn't automatically go into effect everywhere. A local board had to make the determination to allow them. So our board allowed them. They could then expand it to those three options, one, all, or none, if they decided to. The cities have their own internal restrictions on just mobile cart operations, mobile truck operations on where they can go. So it's kind of two different jurisdictions it's confusing to me most of the time too. So the city will control where a mobile cart can set up and sell from. The County Board of Supervisors would determine if a sidewalk vendor for MEHKO, I'm going to make this easier for you guys. If a MEHKO can expand their MEHKO business into sidewalk vending out of their home, because every other sidewalk vendor that's doing full food prep that has something that's open, whether it's hot dogs or churros or coffee, whatever these carts are, they still need a permitted kitchen to work out of. The MEHKO gets the benefit of their MEHKO is their permitted kitchen to sell that product outside. So instead of needing another kitchen rental space, you can just keep working out of your permitted home, and you just have to have your cart permit to go with it. All right, I saw a thumbs up, so I think Malcolm's good on that one. Let's see.
Can you see the chat?
Yep, I'm back on the chat. It's okay. I got Malcolm. So the cart still can't sell hot. The carts can. So Michelle, it depends on what kind of mobile cart permit you would get. We have two kinds. We have prepackaged food and we have open food. That open food is limited in scope, and our state law has very specific requirements for that. But yeah, a cart can sell hot food. Absolutely. The part of 972 also increased what you could do off of those carts with hot food. So before, you couldn't have like a hot holding amount to like portion out. You had to have everything kind of pre-portioned, pre-set up. So you're just kind of like handing it out to a customer. The law will allow and expand the options for mobile food. So if anybody's looking to just become a mobile food business and not tied to a MEHKO, it's a whole nother program that we have. And our website has a lot of information to help you, because you still have to get the cart built. You got to go through the plan review process. It's more of a commercialized permitting process that is similar to our restaurants with the plan review portion, the permitting process. So a cart could still sell hot food. You have more options on a cart. You could sell prepackaged food if you want. You could still sell meals that need refrigeration. Doesn't have to be hot. So if your MEHKO is doing like cold sandwiches is your meals, like you're doing like a sandwich kind of lunch package kind of thing, you could sell those off of a cart as well. They can be cold prepared food. So yeah, I think Malcolm, I think we got you. Luan, can you be both a MEHKO and a mobile cart at the same time if you buy both permits? Absolutely. And that's kind of where this is allowing you to run the extension of your MEHKO. You need both permits because they are two completely separate programs. What it does is the board determines if a MEHKO can expand beyond what's currently there in state law. The mobile program is there. It's been existing for longer. You would fit into both with the hybridization blend being that if you're a MEHKO, you have the potential to store the cart at your home. If our department goes out, does an evaluation and says, yes, the cart can be stored safely here, you can clean it properly, and you'll be able to dispose of all the waste from the cart at your house. We can give that approval. Can meals sold delivered via mobile carts be pre-sold or sold via online payments? Paul, that's a tough one because at that point you're just delivering food. So you can already do that as part of a MEHKO permit. It's going to be challenging to be pre-sold or sold via online payments because as a food delivery, it's not really how a mobile cart is set up. Mobile carts are set up for direct retail sales. So you go to your customers buy it from you while they're there, as opposed to you getting orders placed and then delivering your food items to them. Let's see, Ian, will the mobile cart permit program require a county board of supervisors to vote to opt in, as was the case with MEHKOs? It will, for our jurisdiction, they will need to make a determination if they want to modify the existing MEHKO ordinance for those extra allowances to the MEHKO program. So it's kind of a yes and a yes. So first, a county would need to opt into MEHKOs, and then they would need to have the ordinance add those additional options for them to also utilize and sell their food through a mobile food facility. You cook, heat at the cart, bringing fertilizer on a freezing Canberra. Michelle, yeah, I'm going to give you a soft answer on this because I don't have all my info for our mobile program, but for limited food preparation, there are a lot of options to cook to order. You can't reheat, you can hot. Well, I got to check because part of this law changed what you can do for limited food prep. So there's some different things that you can still do on a cart. You can still fry on site. They do have fryers. People do churros or donuts. So there are those options. It just has to be built into the cart. I will tell you all, building a cart is not, from what I've been told, is not a cheap endeavor. So, mobile carts that are doing food prep are running probably around $7,000 to get those designed, built. Maybe you can buy one that's already been permitted in the past, but I will warn you, every new mobile permit is evaluated. And if it is not up to code, it has to be brought up to code. So if anybody's going to go look to buy a mobile cart out there to start their business, my recommendation is submit the plans for that cart to us first. Let us review it and then make the determination if, yes, this meets the requirements, or no, you're going to have a lot of corrections and modifications that need to be done, because that's really going to change your cost. You buy the cart, and if we say, nope, you've got to fix this, this, and this, it may not be possible on that cart. And then you're out the money that you spent to get it. So it's really better to get the approval before you spend the money to get any of these items. Let's see, Lizeth, yes, if you're a MEHKO operator, that is the greatest part of 972. If you're a sidewalk vendor, there's other parts of there that they really like, because it really expands the options for our mobile food program that has been limited. So our mobile food operators will actually take the counterpart of that and say all of the limited food prep options, all of the abilities to store their carts in other places besides a kitchen, they're going to appreciate those sides too. But we see a lot of benefit out of what this is doing just industry wide for all of our customers. All right, Katya, no, you cannot triple dip. How are you? The ordinance is specific that you can only operate a MEHKO or a cottage food out of your home. So you get one or the other, but you could then run a mobile cart as an extension of either one. So if your business model is just to do the prepackaged, like baked goods, snacks, that sort of thing that you want to make, package, and label, that's our cottage food program. And then you can do the extension with the mobile cart as well. If you want to do the more meal preparation, then go the meal preparation route with the MEHKOs. You can only double dip, no triple dipping.
I think that's the end of our questions. Ryan, thank you so much. I know I speak for everyone. I say we've all had a lot of questions around 972, and this was a really comprehensive, great presentation about it. And we're also just really excited to, expand the MEHKO program, in San Diego as well. And I know there were comments about, are you taking like positive data and things like that? And we're just lucky enough to be working closely with you all, and you all inviting us to give feedback and all of that. And we are collecting that data. So it's a very collaborative program. And so again, a lot of gratitude to you and your department for the work that you're doing in our community.
Yeah, happy to help. I did put our website in the chat if it doesn't get swallowed up by all the comments, sdcdehq.org. That's San Diego County Department of Environmental Health and Quality is what the letters stand for. Go there. We have a home food business page dedicated, has all the information I showed you. It'll have contact information for our team. Let's see. Can I take the last two questions? Do I have time for it, Roya?
Sure, go for it.
Okay. Farmers market, completely separate program. So farmers market, you have to run out of a commercial kitchen. You can't tie a farmers market operation to a MEHKO. So if you want to do, Sestron, if you want to be a farmers market, you're going to be working out of a commercial kitchen as your base before you go out to those markets. And that's part of our temporary food facility program. When you say the ordinance, you mean the county ordinance, something specific? Yes. So the county ordinance is the local governing bodies ordinance to approve a MEHKO program in their jurisdiction. So they would update their ordinance that they approved for us here in February to include those additional items if they so desired.
Thank you again for being here. And to those of you that are not in San Diego, I would still really recommend going to the San Diego website, because they've put together a lot of incredible tools that you can share with your counties, with your states, as in terms of this is what a program looks like, and this is a great way to just run the program, get that information out there. So a lot of amazing resources that you all put together. So thank you for sharing that.